time. She's like, oop, I can't.
Hi, everybody. I just cut off Stephanie, who was going to say something that she did not want recorded. I saw that. Oh no, are we live? There's always that moment. But the good news is no one's on. So we're technically live. I guess when people watch it later, they would see that reaction. So, God, we have a really important guest today. Why is nobody on? Did this not share with Facebook? That's so interesting.
No, it's on Facebook. I can see it.
Okay, people are coming on right now. So there's no indication, Ellen, because I don't have my whole name, but I am Sue Rubin Borison, and next to me is Ellen Rubin Ozeri, my sister. So I think we got to meet Stephanie's sister Suzanne because they were together on vacation. And thanks, Stephanie. Stephanie's awesome. You were great value to yesterday's conversation. I really appreciated it. So my sister lives in Israel, and it is what time in Israel right now?
It is 5:32.
5:32. And the miracle of technology. You are on this call with us.
I am.
So Ellen teaches in Israel, and Israel has handled the virus differently than we have. Like you've had a bunch of shutdowns, right?
Yeah. So in September, they brought everybody back to school in what we call capsules, which are a full class split into two, right? Because we have very big classes. The kids here study in classes of between 30 and 38 kids.
Oh, wow.
So even a pod was like between 15 and 20 kids.
The problem is that you're going to get, do you prefer that? You must like that better. Like who wants to go back to 38 kids when you can have 15?
Yeah. Well, actually, the teachers union is fighting now to have smaller classes, but the thing is they only allowed us to go into a certain number of pods because they didn't want us to get sick from the kids. And then, of course, a kid in the class gets sick, and then you have to go into quarantine for 12 days. And then you have to go get 2 COVID tests, and then they closed down the whole school system. And then we went back, and then they closed it again. It's been crazy. So
so do people wear masks? Is that like a given?
Yeah, everybody wears masks, and people are
even outside of school, like even everywhere, people wearing masks.
Everywhere.
And then when you're closed down, you actually have restrictions on how far you can go from your house, right?
Right. So the restrictions are you can only go 1 kilometer away from your house unless you're going to buy like basics like food and all the malls are closed, all the shops on the streets are closed, only the supermarkets and the pharmacies are open.
Wow.
So
that's not what we're experiencing here. No. So everyone who's on, this is my sister. She lives in Israel. She's telling us about what it's like to live in quarantine in Israel, which is much more dramatic than what we're living with here. And we promised to talk about the college scandal. We're really excited. Monday night, we're having Melissa Korn, who wrote the book. She is a Wall Street Journal higher ed reporter and was literally there as every moment of the story of the college scandal broke. And then she co-authored this book, Unacceptable. And so she's going to be on Monday night at 8 o'clock. I will put the link for signing up. Stephanie says, thank you for your work with students. That's nice. Ellen, that was to you because I don't work with students and Stephanie doesn't work with students. Anyway, so Monday night at 8 o'clock, it's actually riveting, the story. Like if you took away how horrifying the story is when it was shared with everybody, it's so riveting. Like when Melissa was talking about it, the amount of work that goes into corroborating stories and like they had this web of information that they were trying to connect, and they really got into the nitty gritty of how to figure out which kids were actually involved. And I mean, real investigative reporting. That would be like fun to read as a novel, a little unnerving that it actually happened. But Steph, what's your take when you heard about it? What was your take?
When it all first broke?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I remember thinking, wow, like this is all going to come to a screeching. Like I felt like it's like upping the ante, right? Like I felt like everything in college, like was getting more expensive. It was getting more competitive. I'm like, when does it end? And all of a sudden it was like, bam, like a car crash, right? We're like, whoa, like now we got to address this.
It's interesting because I think it'll be interesting to hear what Melissa says, whether colleges took any kind of action afterwards.
So that's what I was going to say. Did anything change?
Yeah. So I think we're going to be disappointed, but I don't know for sure. So I'm looking forward to asking her that question. But I will say that I have a little bit of a minority position on this, where the emphasis, because it's what we read, was all about the celebrities who did bad things. Mm-hmm. And to me, like, the story is so much more about Rick. What was his name? Rick.
Yeah. The guy who ran the company, the consultant.
Rick Singer.
Yeah.
Like, for somebody to think this up and then like, there's a lifetime. Remember, so Stephanie and I did a program once for kids, and we had Case Western Reserve. They were college admissions. They were admissions officers at Case, and they did a program for the kids, and they had the kids line up by like different criteria that they were given. Like, you have an SAT score of this, you have all these other criteria. And then at the end, they said someone's name and said, your parents donated a building, move to the front of the line. And the kids audibly gasped because they knew nothing about this like underbelly of higher ed. So in some ways it's comforting because it's not a meritocracy, but in other ways it's like, why was this one broke the law? I get it. But why was it so dramatically different?
Yeah, I'm not sure I feel so different. Maybe I'm in the minority with you, Sue. I agree. You and I have talked about this, like, this line, yes, it broke the law, right? It definitely went over the line. So I want to be really clear about that. There's a lot of people skating up next to the line, I think. And I think everybody's got their comfort level. It's kind of like our joke about helicopter parenting, right? No one is one, everyone knows one, right? So I
want everyone to like this if they agree with that. We've tried to do things about helicopter parenting, and we've asked people to self-identify, and everybody's response is, I'm not a helicopter parent, but oh my God, my friend.
Yes.
So just like it if you
like, wait, can I take a left turn on this?
Yeah.
I wanna start a movement. So I'm what I call a submarine parent. Okay. Sue, I don't know if you and I have talked about this. And I don't know if I read it somewhere. Okay.
Oh, look, Stephanie owns it.
Yay! Okay, so Stephanie, we may have the same name, but we may differ slightly on this, but I think it's the same. It's just how we appear. So I say I'm a submarine, so I'm under the water. At glance, I don't look like I know what the bleep is going on. Like, if you look at me, like, I'm kind of ignoring things. I'm kind of like, people are like, oh, she's kind of, but I'm under the water. And I'm like, wait, did the temperature just change? Wait, is there a new creature in the water? I'm very, and so like I'm under there, and I'm observing all the same things, but I don't look like it on the surface. But when something changes or something I feel like is going to affect my kid, I surface. I'm like, so I think it might be the same thing as a helicopter. I think it's just an appearance thing, for lack of a better. Do you know what I mean?
But that's the big distinction. The distinction is, do you jump in front of your kids to save them, or do you observe it? And observing is a very different thing. Like, we should all be observing.
Yes.
The people who get these later on say that when we jump in front of them, they're not capable. But Lisa has a question for Ellen. Lisa, I don't know if you know, but she's in Israel. So they don't follow the CDC guidelines. But her question is, why do you have to quarantine if someone gets sick, if everyone's wearing a mask and is socially distanced? Like, yeah.
Because that's the law here, is that if you're inside for 15 minutes in a closed, or not even in a closed room, in a room for 15 minutes with someone who has been diagnosed with COVID-19, then you also have to be for 14 days in quarantine.
I thought that was the rule here also, if you're exposed to it.
I don't know.
But I don't know. Ellen,
Can I say something? That you are so lucky that your kids don't go to the Army. Because even if you are what we call a lioness as a mother, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Back and watch your kids.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, like, what's it like in school? Like, are the parents like American parents and coming and asking for, like, you're not doing this for my kid? You get a lot of that?
We do get a lot of it, but it's not necessarily because they're looking forward to what their kid's future is going to be going to university or college. They're looking towards what their kid is going to be able to do in the Army and afterwards. Will they make it to the high-tech companies? And are we creative enough to teach their kids creativity? Because that's what they're looking for today, is creative minds, and not necessarily just have a diploma from a good school.
So that's interesting. I feel like that's different.
I'm going to call this person Janet. So when Janet moved to Israel, having raised her kids in the American system, she marched into the principal's office to demand something for her kid. And the principal said, "You live in Israel now, go home."
Okay. My school is not like that. My principal listens to the parents.
Oh, okay. Look at that. Look at that. So anybody have any questions about or want to share anything about either COVID or the college scandal? What you thought about it, if it's fascinating to you or who cares? I had interviewed Lori Loughlin, who was on
Full House.
Full House.
And wait, before that, Edge of Night.
Was she? I never watched Edge of Night. I was ABC. I was ABC.
Yes, you were General Hospital.
One Life to Live, General Hospital.
Yeah, I love those too. But she was on Edge of Night, and I feel like she blew up on the jet ski. Was that her character? If anybody remembers that, she may have blown up on the jet ski. If anybody can confirm that, I'd appreciate that.
Well, anyway, I just want to say how delightful she was to talk to, like so lovely. And I just felt so badly that, not that there shouldn't be consequences, but that like, because she was famous, she was the front page of the story. And like, you know, I don't know. I just really felt badly for her. Yeah. Especially like when you know someone and like them, it's like hard to see them being taken down.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. Like, I mean, we talk about this a lot, you and I, and as a team, is that everybody wants the best for their kids, right? I mean, like at your core, that's what you want. And I guess we all define it differently. And it's like, I get, maybe the question is like, what are you willing to do and what are you not willing to do? It was illegal. I don't want to be, I don't want to be misconstrued.
Yeah, but I can't even put myself in that place. Like, you know how people talk about who would you have been in a particular situation?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I know in the Holocaust, like people. All right, Joni, there you go. Joni doesn't feel bad for her. It was white privilege to the max. Yes, it was. I still feel badly for her as a human being. Not that she doesn't deserve consequences, but I still feel badly. Wait, what were we just saying? You said.
I said.
Yeah, this is what our minds look like today.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I don't know.
No idea. Ellen, what were we saying? Did you tell me? You tuned us out.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, so I think that the scandal is probably behind us. Many other more important things are being spoken about, but like, I was saying, like, who would you be in these terrible scenarios?
Oh, yeah. That was a good retrieval. Yeah.
I mean, I just read a book. It was called the Lilac. I don't know what it was. It was slave owners. And she is going, it was some lilac. I don't remember. Anyway. And it's interesting because she's a very kind slave owner. She thinks it's wrong to treat people badly. But at the end of the day, she did not let her slaves go free. So it's kind of like, who would we be in that story? Who would we be in the Holocaust?
Yeah.
On either side of that story. Like, I like to think of myself one way, but, you know, I hope never to be tested. But, you know, like if someone, like some of the stories about the Rick Singer scandal was that like people would just say, hey, you should call him. He's a great tutor. And not, and then, you know, it inches towards something. It's not like you should hire Rick Singer because he'll lie and cheat to get your kid.
Right.
Right.
Well, and I think, Sue, your comment about who are you in the story, I think is really interesting because I've had like the same thing happen to me or like similar things where I react one way one time and another way another time. Like where like sometime I'll drive by an accident and other times I'll go around the block and come back and get out of my car. And so what made me act that as that person in that story. Like, what was the story in my head? What was that? What did I see? What did I write? Like, it's so nuanced, I guess, is what I'm getting at. And I'm the same person. I would argue I'm the same person on Tuesday as I was on Thursday.
Wait, do you even have to argue that?
I'm just saying, like, right. So why would what made me act and feel compelled to be part of that story and make sure everything was okay that day?
Yeah.
And the other day I didn't. I don't even know if I could answer it, right?
Ellen, do you think about it?
About what? About different decisions and how we behave, or
like who would you be in the story? Like, you know, if you were, I mean, I think
you're talking to the squarest, you know, like I just go by the rules. Yeah. Like people here in Israel think that I'm crazy that I go by the rules, because people here, they say, oh, rules are made to be broken. That's like one of the things that I was taught, like in the beginning when I came here, and I thought, I don't live that way. How am I going to be able to do this? And people actually have laughed at me over the years, even at school, where I said, okay, we have school rules. We're supposed to be living by them, and the kids are supposed to be living by them, but I'm not going to be the school policeman when nobody else is living by them. Yeah. So you kind of take a step back. Yeah. So I'm not a good person to ask.
Stephanie, I think, don't you have a story about the seeing eye dogs or something? Wasn't there something like they were being trained to go to Israel?
Oh, yeah. Right. Israeli guide dogs for the blind. Right. So the story is they started training them in the United States, and then they took the dogs over to place them with soldiers, retired soldiers, whatever, not retired, whatever, but, or disabilities, etc. And the dogs were, they would like wait in line. They did all these things that were so American, and they're like, oh my God, that guy's never going to get into the store. He's never going to get into the movie theater. And so they learned they had to train the dogs in Israel with the culture there, which I love that story. It's hilarious to me.
It is just so funny. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. If you can join us Monday night, we'd love to have you. I will put in the code right now. Anything else to add before we hang up?
And next week we're gonna do what makes us cry. We're bumping that back into our topic.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah.
Okay, so the sign up is going in the comments before I get out. I just have it here. Please join us. Let people know if you think they'll be interested. And thanks for joining us today. That did not go up.
Yeah.
Oh, it did. Okay. Bye.
Thanks, Stephanie.
What'd you say?
I'm saying thank you to Stephanie. I just saw her comment. It's cute.